Apologies, Minister. I got caught out there. I was watching the television screen and two people didn't turn up. And I thought I had seen Deputy Sherlock here earlier on. Minister, the whole issue of forestry is very, very contentious with huge delays in licences. And basically, I was looking for information that would give me indications of the trends in relation to planting, in relation to felling and also the provision of roads. Because there are a lot of complaints that there aren't enough licences issuing, that there are too many delays and that we need to get a grip on this, and that licensing shouldn't be the controlling factor in either planting or felling.
Deputy Minister Hackett.
Thank you, Deputy Ó Cuív. Certainly forestry licensing output in the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine was seriously affected by court judgments and their interpretation, which led to a much more onerous appropriate assessment procedure and the need for ecological input for the majority of licences. This is reflected in the decreased number of licences issued in 2020. In order to address the delays which had arisen due to these changed circumstances, the Department invested heavily in additional resources and in process improvements to increase licence output. This has had the desired effect, with a marked increase in the number of licences issued last year at 4,050 forestry licences. This included 2,877 felling licences at a volume of nearly 8.5 million cubic metres, which was a record volume for a single year. Forest roads approvals for 264 kilometres are more than double the target set in the Climate Action Plan 2019. The detailed statistics asked for by the Deputy are provided in writing. We are aware of the need to increase the number of afforestation licences. This is why it is the main focus of our 2022 licence plan, where we plan to issue 30% more licences overall than last year. And in the case of afforestation, output will be over 100% higher than last year. Of more concern to everybody should be the continued decline in afforestation applications. Reversing this trend requires a concerted effort now from everyone with an interest in seeing more trees planted in Ireland. 2022 will be an important year for farmers with the arrival of a new 2023 will be an important year for farmers with the arrival of a new CAP and new forestry programme, and it is important that the benefits of afforestation are well understood to them. My department is, as always, ready to play its part and assist in improving communications. We understand, of course, that improved licensing output has a role to play, hence the importance attached to improving licence output in 2022. Again, I reiterate that positive messaging around the benefits of afforestation is the responsibility of all, particularly those with a direct line of communication to farmers and landowners.
Deputy Ó Cuív.
Thank you, Minister, for the reply, and I look forward to getting the tables. Planting or afforestation, as you're calling it, is hugely important. And I would divide it in two sectors. One is the production timber for the commercial sector. And you might give me an indication of what we'd have to plant to allow us to even continue with the kind of milling industry that we have that's so important in terms of exports. And secondly, added to that, the planting that you will require to try and ensure that you reach your targets in relation to broadleaves, many of which don't have the same attraction for the, well, most of which don't have the same attraction for the timber milling industry. And therefore, I see two sectors here, and it's not one against the other, it should be one plus the other. And you might outline what you need to do now so that in 30 and 40 years' time, you have the supply coming out to ensure that what is a very viable and thriving timber industry will continue, and on the other hand, that we have enough broadleaf to achieve our climate targets.
I agree, Deputy, that it is important to have I suppose, a multifunctioning forestry strategy and system in Ireland. I suppose just to reassure the Deputy that every felling licence that is issued, that it comes with a requirement to reforest the land. So sometimes it is quoted that we fell more than we plant, but felling licences come with a reforestation commitment. So it can be a little bit unclear as to what that is in terms of the area. But just be reassured that we are growing our area of forestry year on year. I think the sectors, I mean, the commercial timber sector is a very vital part of what we do, and certainly in terms of rural economies, and that, you know, that is set to continue and to grow. I think we've all sorts of commitments made now, which I'd like to see come to fruition in relation to house building and the use of timber and that. So I think, you know, the future is bright for that sector, but again, we do need to get things right so the system is fully functional for those applicants.
Yes, Minister, except what you're saying about the felling licence and the planting it. But it's not quite as simple, because some of what's been felled, which would be Sitka spruce and whatever, might be replaced by broadleaves, which have a longer period of growth and which are not the timber sought after by most of the commercial mills. Can I ask you a question, Minister? At present, how long, taking ecological studies into account, and as you say, because of the nature of where forests tend to be in this country at the moment, most of them, particularly felling licenses, require ecological surveys. Can you give me an indication, how long is it taking from the time you'd apply, on average, the time you'd apply for planting licenses until you get it, and similarly for a felling licence until you would get the actual licence? What's the average length of time? And is that fairly steady? Because one of the big problems inhibiting planting is uncertainty. People are not going to do something if the length of the process is as long as a piece of string.
Thanks, Deputy.
Thank you to Deputy Ó Cuív. I don't have the specific timelines available in terms of licensing, but I would say ballpark in there you're talking, I mean, longer than we would like, but around maybe 10 or 11 months for a license to be issued for someone to apply. Now, some people are getting them sooner if everything's more straightforward. In more complex applications, it takes longer, but that is certainly, we are working to bringing that down, and we have been bringing that down over the past year or so. It's not quite where we want it to be, but we are working hard to get there.